I recently spoke with undefeated top flyweight prospect, Australia's own Nadia Kassem. She will be competing at the upcoming UFC 234 event in Melbourne, Australia on February 10th when she faces Montana De La Rosa. Yeah, so first of all, welcome back. Speaking of that, because this has been the longest layoff, of your young career, so I imagine you're really itching to get back in the octagon and keep the momentum rolling, right?
I am. I am. I mean, 14 months layoff is a long time, and also I've been itching for a little while, and of course injuries getting in the way that had deterred me from coming back.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, yeah, hey, we're almost there. Knock on wood. Hopefully, everything works out. No funny
Yeah.
business with weight cuts or anything from the opponents and everything. And you were supposed to fight Yan Xiaonan last year in Singapore, but then suffered the injury. If you don't mind me asking, what exactly was the injury? I don't remember seeing.
Yeah, I'd taken a bit of a fall outside of training, and I'd injured my lower back with some bulging discs and things like
Ooh.
that. And I still do feel it here and there, but it hasn't gotten away with my training. So I've been able to like push it aside and, of course, work on it outside with my chiro and doing all the special treatment that I need to do so that I can come back. But then after that, I kind of hurt my hand and I tore some tendons and had stitches on my knuckle. So I wasn't punching anything for like a few months. But I would have fought on the Adelaide card. Hopefully, like I would have done that last year in December, but of course had to wait again. So it's been a bit stressful for me.
Yeah, wow, that's no fun. And back stuff, that's
No,
definitely never fun. Did you end up having surgery? You said you were working around it,
no,
kind of.
no. Thankfully, it was okay. I could
Okay.
get around it without surgery. So a bit of neck and back injury,
Uh,
but it was okay. Just had fallen really bad on some tiles, so that did not
oof.
help me at all. But
Yeah.
yeah, should be okay now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be weird if it did help you. But,
Yeah, no, definitely not.
so,
Definitely.
so have you had to like kind of change things up going into this camp because of that, or are you feeling pretty good now?
No, I'm feeling pretty good now. I
Okay.
mean, I was kind of just progressively training towards the last few months of last year. So I kind of just got to be able to get back in the swing of things before everything goes into like beast mode, because
Yeah.
the worst thing is like being unfit and then having a fight camp. Like you'd rather just kind of progress
Hmm.
and then, so you kind of get to enjoy it and embrace the process instead of it being a shock to the system.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Yeah, it's been okay.
yeah, yeah, starting the camp in shape probably a lot nicer than completely out of shape, right? So,
Oh my god, it is actually the worst because I can admit I've done that in the past, like in my earlier days, amateur days, and it was pretty bad. So it's good to actually understand it now as a pro and do it properly.
yeah, I can imagine. So,
Yeah,
I want to go back to your last fight a little bit. And you have
yeah,
quite the impressive record for how early on you still are in the game. Five fights, four knockouts. Those four knockouts all under a minute and 30, which is pretty wild. And then with the
yeah.
last win in your UFC debut against Alex Chambers, you got the most experienced opponent you faced so far. So how big of a win was that for you, just personally?
I felt great. Like every time I walk into a fight, like I don't expect to win, but I know that the outcome is normally going to be a war no matter what. So
Hmm.
with that experience that I had, it was good. Like it was good to get that 15 minutes of ring time, which I haven't received before. I've received it in Muay Thai once, but not for MMA, and it's completely different altogether. So it was good. I got to learn a lot about myself, and even though I came away with a win, I could still work on things that I needed to work on. And I feel like with this fight coming, I can display that as well.
Yeah, definitely. That was kind of the main thing that I was looking at because you had your first four wins, which came very quickly when it comes to the finish,
Yeah,
and so yeah, that going through the decision, especially with an experienced veteran like she is,
yeah,
I'm sure that it was kind of you always like to get the finish, but you can't complain about getting to go through the full three with someone like her, right?
yeah. Of course, of course. A win's a win at the end of the day, but I'm here to make an impression, and I want to actually leave a mark on the MMA world, like with my style. I don't want it to be like another fighter or just a plain Jane Aussie. Like I want to be here, and I want to show that I've got something to show to the world, like something different, a bit of a wild style, and an entertainer,
Yeah.
Not just a fighter.
Hmm. And I mean, I think you definitely did that because, so, everyone's obviously going to think that you're just a straight up knockout artist. And then you go into that fight with Chambers, and we see you sinking in some deep heel hooks in the first round, triangle in the second. So, I'm sure it felt good to show that overall versatility in your game rather than, just sticking to, I guess, the,
Yeah, it was.
I don't know. What
It was totally different. Like, oh my god, like let's make some people some money and let's try to submit this girl. I just had to try and prove a point. So when I say something like that, I was trying to prove a point, not just to anyone, but to myself too. And because I work hard, like in all aspects, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, stand up, whatever it is, like I want to just, have a go. I had that sort of thought. When I say something, I take it. So it was in my face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah, definitely.
if there was any downside though for that fight, it was obviously the weight miss on your side, which I'm sure is why you're making this move to flyweight next. Even I mean, correct me if I'm wrong there, but you've also fought there before, anyways. And the Xiaonan fight was going to be a strawweight bout too. So how did you come to the decision to move back up to 125?
I think it was the safest decision for me, and also mentally, like, I'm able to prepare myself, not just, like, purely just for the cut, like, just for the camp as well, because I felt like I was so mentally consumed by having to make weight that it got in the way of me improving with my skills as a fighter. So I didn't want to have to focus purely on the cut and get it wrong again. So I wanted to make sure that I got it right. I may fight before. It will be a bit of a challenge in regards to like the other girls being possibly stronger and bigger and taller and so forth, but I'm ready to mix it up and change if that's what I have to do to be a flyweight fighter. So yeah, here I am.
Yeah, I mean that's something I've been hearing a lot of people actually mentioning, that when they have to do those kind of extreme weight cuts, it's like that takes away from the actual fight preparation, right? Because you're worried about making the weight, sometimes maybe even more than your training. I mean, is that fair to say?
Yeah, it honestly is, and that for me like killed me post fight as well. But
yeah. All right, well, yeah, moving on to the future, though. You're facing Montana De La Rosa next week at UFC 234, who, another young fighter like yourself. And I wanted to bring this up because I'm not sure if you ended up seeing it, but I thought it was a little bit odd. After Paige Van Zandt beat Rachel Ostovich a few weeks ago in Brooklyn, Montana actually called out Paige, even though she's scheduled to fight you right now. Did you see that? And if so, what did you make of it?
Oh, no, I didn't see that, but you know what? Like, I don't blame the girl. Like, everyone wants Paige because she's eye candy, she's right in the limelight. So if you get a fight with Paige, you're probably going to be on the main card or whatever it is, and like fighting someone like Paige would, put you out there in the open for more reputable fighters. So I don't blame her, you know what I mean? Like, I did this, I've done the same. I've called out Paige like twice, but really, I don't think she knows who the fuck I am. So it doesn't really matter if she does or not. But yeah, I just think it's for publicity and it's for everyone to be in the eye of the people.
Yeah.
So I don't blame her.
Yeah, I just thought it was really funny though, because she's fighting you like soon. Yeah. Like, I mean, maybe wait till.
She'll be like, hey, just let you know, I'll be free even after.
Yeah, it's like,
that's all good.
Win or lose, I'll still fight you.
Yeah, exactly right.
So yeah, when it comes to your fight prep, are you one of those fighters who likes to focus more on themselves or their opponent, or do you try and balance that out as best as you can?
I mean, I don't watch footage personally or anything like that. Like, or I don't really stalk, because I feel like when I do go to stalking mode or whatever, it becomes a bit emotional for me, and I don't want it to be a personal thing. I just want to be improving on myself, and then come fight day, like it's the best woman of the night,
Yeah.
So either I show up or she shows up the best, but no, I don't like to do it myself. I'm sure my coaches, they do, and so I know one or two things about my opponents, but I'm not obsessing about it or anything like
Hmm.
that. So yeah.
So do you watch MMA at all? Like, would you consider yourself a fan as well? Because I know there's some fighters who are like, yeah, I'm just strictly a fighter. I don't watch at all, which is kind of like crazy to me sometimes. But I don't know. Is that the case with you?
Yeah, I'm not really a big fan of it. Like I watch the fighters that I know in the cards
Hmm.
that I'm excited to watch. But if someone brings up some names that I'm not the most familiar with, I feel bad because like I'm also one of those fighters people wouldn't know. But because I'm not a massive fan of it, like from beforehand,
Yeah.
um, I wouldn't know, and I do feel bad. I should have been more knowledgeable in the sport that I'm in. But I feel like the first day I walked in the gym, I never was like, oh yeah, could I watch UFC? Like I was just like, hey, these guys do fights, and I'm angry and I want to fight. So give me a fight. That was my first thing when I walked into the gym. I wasn't a fan of the UFC really. Like I had only watched it possibly like 6 months before I even
Oh
started.
wow.
Yeah,
Well, hey,
yeah,
it's working out so far.
yeah. It's cool though. I do love it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, are you interested? I mean, the main and co-main event are pretty big for Australia next week. Are you looking forward to those at least?
Yeah, of course. No, I am. I'm looking forward to the card. With Robert Whitaker and of course Adesanya and Anderson
Hmm.
Silva. Like that's crazy. I like having him here. So it's cool. And the first actual UFC event I ever went to was in Melbourne, and now I get to
Oh,
fight on it. So it's
nice.
pretty cool.
Full circle.
Yeah, I watched the home and Rousey fight a few years ago there. So it'd be cool to have.
Wow.
It's not the same venue, I know, but it's still in the same city.
Yeah, that's
So yeah,
awesome. Nice.
yeah,
And
yeah,
yeah, and so a little bit of a topic shift, sort of. I mean, recently one of your fellow UFC Aussies came on home and did some training at Australian top team. At least I think she did. And I'm of course referring to Jessie Jess. Did you
yeah,
know each other, or did you get to train at all ahead of the fight or anything
yeah.
like that?
Yeah, of course. Jessie is awesome. She's got like a great character, and she always brings this special like vibe when she comes around. She's always happy, smiling, and laughing and cracking jokes.
Hmm.
My coach Suman and her have a really great bond too. They always get along because we're all a bit crazy. Um, but she trained with us like a while ago, like maybe 2 years ago before she went over to Vegas.
Yeah.
So we're pretty good with each other and stuff. And she did come over, done the seminar at Australian Top Team, and we had to have a little bit of a chat. It was good, but I didn't get to see too much of it this time around
Mm.
because she was gym hopping and doing the seminars. But I wish her all the best with everything, and I hope she's like. I know I spoke to her about her cut with going to flyweight, but and I felt so bad with what happened to her.
Yeah.
But I hope, yeah, she should be okay now and making her next move back up to bantam, I think.
Yeah, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. She's always kind of on top of things. It seems like, so I'm confident in that as well. Um,
Yeah.
and I one of the last times I talked to her, it was before her that fight that didn't end up happening. But something interesting she said to me was, as an Australian, we were talking about how, would you prefer to go and fight on, more cards that are in Australia? And she said how, it's nice to get that exposure in America and fight in
It's
those
true.
areas, and so that it's because people already know her in Australia. Do you feel that way at all? Because you haven't fought outside of Australia yet. So were you interested in
No,
trying to, you know, get out into other areas more?
no, it's true. I definitely would want that exposure, and Jesse's right in that way because, you know, I feel like Australia's we're young here for MMA, so
Hmm.
it's not like America. Well, what I've heard is where like I wouldn't have fans like coming up to me or anything like that as much. People will still look down on the sport here. They still looking at it as like a brute sport, and you know, um, it's not exactly the biggest sport here. So to have some exposure in anywhere in America would be amazing. Like I'd love to have my next fight there. Definitely wouldn't say no to that.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you're not going to say
Yeah.
no to a fight in general, right? But just the just
Of
the
course not.
idea.
Definitely not.
Yeah, yeah, that
Yeah.
exposure and building your brand in sort of a way. Um,
Yeah,
so
that's right. Publicity is publicity, and
yeah,
it's good to get your name out there.
for sure, can't go wrong. All right, Nadia. The last thing I'm going to leave you with here. I'm sure all the training and fight stuff keeps you pretty busy, but do you have any hobbies that help you detach and kind of get your mind off the sport?
Um, I'm a bit boring in that sense. I just like I'm a bit of a typical girl though. Like I love hanging with my friends and my family and going out and things like that. Obviously not going out at this time, but having them around and supporting is basically all I've been doing. So that's me on the side. Typical girl, Sydney.
Hey, better than nothing, right? And we're all different.
Yeah,
Whatever works for whoever.
yeah, that's it. You gotta do what you gotta do to make it work.